Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. Unfortunately, we are talking about a pretty heartbreaking loss today, but we're going to have a fun episode, hopefully. I'm Ron Luce, joined today by Cody Delmendo and Mr. Joe Kilgallen. Gentlemen, how are we feeling after this heartbreaker of a loss?
I don't think I should go first, only because Cody just has a look on his face like he is pissed. So let's get my nonsense out of the way. Dude, it sucks, dude. There was so much about this game, riding the emotions from yesterday's W with the whole Amir Garrett stuff and, Javi giving us the greatest, picture of Javi of all time. And he's given us so many. And then, we start off today, offense right away. Ian Hampson struggling, double. Chris Bryant, double. Chris Bryant home run, just looking awesome. Beautiful day in Chicago. Looked like a nice day in Cincy. And then the pitching, terrible. Trevor Williams, bad. And then later, there was some nice stuff between. You know what I mean? We saw a nice Major League debut. Dylan Maples kept up what he's been doing. Alec Mills, bad. How do I feel overall? I mean, we'll get into the X's and O's. It was an entertaining game, so I love that, but I just hate the way it ends. I hate that runner on second rule. I hate Ian Happ looking like a pretty bad concussion there after him having his best game of the season. There's just a lot of frustration building right now, and I'm sure we'll explore it all.
And as we will, Cody, the floor is yours.
Dude, I'm so fed up. I'm so fed. 7 runs on Friday, 12 today, and you can't win, but we score 3 yesterday and we win that game. Doesn't make any sense. Our starters aren't going long enough. Our bullpen, it's either really good or really bad. We can't get all 3 facets of how to win a baseball game in one day consistently. That's the bottom line. I'm glad Ian Happ had his best game of the season. That's great. It sucks that he got hurt. It really sucks because now we got to face the Dodgers for 3 games tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I can see it now. We score 12 runs today and lose. Tomorrow we're going to score 1 run and lose. I don't want to think that way, but I've seen it so much over the last 3 years that it's so, hot or cold. And we got to face Walker Buehler tomorrow. So let's give him some credit. He is good at baseball. But and I'm not trying to jump ahead, but it's frustrating that this series, it's not even the most frustrating of all the series that they've lost in the last, since the last weekend. But it's just how come one day we'll pitch, but we can't hit. And then one day we'll hit all over the place, but we can't pitch. And that's the biggest thing. It's we're just not getting enough of all 3 facets of winning baseball games, which is offense, defense, pitching, or I guess offense, pitching, starting pitching, and bullpen, whatever. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. That's the most infuriating part. I'm actually glad that I didn't get to watch the entire game, or else I'd probably be even more mad, even though I am infuriated. It's infuriating because you win an emotional game on Saturday. Quite literally, the most emotional win of the year. Amir Garrett looking like a freaking bum on the mound. I understand he's an outspoken guy, and I have nothing wrong with that. But he was being a clown. Rizzo was walking to the dugout, didn't he started that because he wanted to start it. Whatever. Dude's got a 12 ERA at the time. Whatever. That's a clown move in my opinion. The Cubs get past it, find a way to win that game. They got enough offense. Their bullpen was great. Zach Davies, I actually was feeling good about Zach Davies, even though he only pitched 4 innings. I was like, all right, maybe this is Zach Davies turning the corner because he technically didn't really give up any runs. You win a game like that yesterday, and then you come back and you freaking can't find a way to win today's game. You have the lead multiple times, and you give it up. It's so frustrating. And I didn't want to be mad at Justin Steele. He's been great. And then today he just had to have the bad outing. Those are the things. That's why whenever you do get good performances out of guys and you don't win those games, it's frustrating because you can't always bank on the same guys performing like that, except for guys like Chris Bryant, the way he's been playing this year. But 2 home runs from KB today and a loss. How many times has Chris Bryant had 2 homer games and we've lost, man? I don't
Probably
know.
not many.
Not many.
It's infuriating. Like, and it's gonna come back to haunt the Cubs at the end of the year if they figure it out eventually, but don't make the playoffs by one or two games. These are the games that come back and haunt you at the end of the year if they decide to, man ship and try and get in. Like if they're somehow in it,
Right.
but they're falling. I know. Well, I think the Dodgers murdered the Brewers today, but like I looked at the standings, like the Cardinals and the Brewers both above 500. The Cubs keep falling back. They keep falling back.
We're 4 games under now.
It's not the first or second week of April. We're now into May. Like again, I'm not saying the season's over. I'm not saying fuck this team. I'm not saying fuck, this and that, like blow it up. I'm saying we got to start winning games if things are going to matter in September, man. And I want things to matter. And that's why I'm so mad and why I care so much. This isn't me saying, that like blaming the front office for this or that or whatever, or David Rossi doesn't know how to manage. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just saying we have to win baseball games if we're going to be in there come September. And this is a game, and the game on Friday is one that we're going to look back if they don't make the playoffs and be like, oh, you kind of wish you would have won that. Maybe things would be different. Maybe it won't be the first games that we think off the top of our head, but if we went through the schedule and look back, I think that the two games we lost this weekend are the exact thing of that. Because again, you score 12 runs and 7 runs on Friday and you lose. That should never happen, man. It should never happen. I understand it could happen every once in a while. In today's game, I guess you can somewhat give a little bit of excuse because the Reds, there was no pitching today at all. Like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, fuck, man. Fuck.
It's a good way to sum it up. No, and it is infuriating.
I'm sorry for cutting you off again. I'm just so frustrated with this team because you look at the lineup and you look at how successful the bullpen has been, and you look at the rotation, you think it's better than this. You look at those names and you're like, they're better than this, and they're not. They have the highest starter earned run average in baseball and the lowest batting average in baseball. At least on Friday, or no, on Saturday they did at least. I don't know what it is now, but like, I mean, that's just the facts. And I'm not a batting average guy, but I'm just saying, like, the glaring problems are right there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned the pitching today, right? And just how kind of a bummer it was because guys that looked good, Keegan Thompson making his major league debut, he was very good today. Maples was really good in an inning and a third. Winkler was actually really good. Obviously, Chafin just continues to be very good. And you can only blame so much on Kimbrel because of, as we mentioned, the stupid,
Well, you think, yeah, exactly. He did
guy on second rule.
Yeah, I'm not even blaming Kimbrel. Yeah, I'm not even blaming Kimbrel. And I haven't even mentioned anything about that stupid rule in the extra innings. Like the extra innings rule, it reminds me of the shift. Like when it benefits the Cubs, I like the extra inning rule. Mm-hmm. Just like the shift. When the shift benefits the Cubs, I'm like, yeah, shift. Same thing like a week and a half ago when Jason Hayward hit the walk-off single in extra innings. Like you're just going to hate it if you lose the game.
Right.
That's basically what it is.
Nope, exactly. And yeah, I agree, especially too, right? Justin Steele, just unfortunate that he kind of has finally his first bad outing. But Mills was tough. And then, yeah, Williams, I mean, 2 2/3 innings, gives up 6 hits, 6 earned runs, and he walks 4, only strikes out 2, and he gives up 3 long balls. So, unfortunately, that's just not going to get the job done at the end of the day when, like you said, and the offense, it feels like the offense is finally starting to put together because, Cody, you mentioned these games, right, where, like, you score X number of runs, you probably should win most times. They've had 3 games like that now in the last week. They did that on Monday night against the Braves when they scored 7 and still lost. And then they proceeded to do that in the 2 games in this series. And then didn't they might have had it happen as well. I'm checking just so I'm not off my rocker entirely here. No, okay, they won that game. That's right. Never mind. But, like you score 7, 7, and 12 in 1 week, and all 3 games are losses. And you just can't have that because if you want to be a competitive baseball team, you mentioned it. The Cubs are sitting, I think it's 5 games back after I just checked. 5 games behind the Brewers, who, as Joe, you were correct, they got obliterated by the Dodgers today. But holy hell, I agree. Like, it's so infuriating, Cody, and I love the way you said it. they can't put it together. It's like the offense is good one day, the pitching is ass. The pitching's great one day, the offense just doesn't show up. It's like neither team can pick, or neither side of the of the baseball team, I guess, for lack of a better term, like can just put it together and not be booty cheeks at the same time. Like somebody we want one game,
and that's why I said the Saturday game was. I felt like it was the turning, like the corner we turned or whatever. I think I even tweeted it. I probably jinxed us, so I apologize.
They're not real.
But I tweeted it was like maybe this is a season turning moment. Like we got all three facets. I know we only scored 3 runs, but you got good bullpen, and even Zach Davies only going 4 innings. He still was. He didn't, like I said, he didn't. Yeah, he was better. And the 2 runs that the Reds scored, it was because David Bodie made a bad throw. That was it. That was all the Reds scored on Saturday.
Yeah.
So you get a game like that, and then to have something like this today, it's just demoralizing. And now you have to play the Dodgers for 3. And I know baseball it's different. And you can't guarantee wins, but they ain't no slouch, man. They ain't no slouch. Like,
hey, the second place Dodgers, by the way, they fell out of first because they've been playing like the Dodgers lost 7 of their last 10, but they did explode today, as you mentioned, 16-4 against the Brewers. Yeah, it's not pretty because they're facing the Dodgers' top 3 starters. I mean, Dustin May's their number 4, who's got great upside, but he just got injured, so who knows what's going to happen with him. It's guys, it's me. I'm Sonny, Mr. Optimist all the time, and I don't want to just keep echoing what you two said, but you guys are absolutely right. It's one day it's this, one day it's that, and they just can't seem to get it all together. I still think they're due for like an 8 out of 10 stretch. I don't know when that's going to happen. Hopefully, it happens soon. But I also think for a lot of people's mental health, you might want to just understand that this is a transitional season. There's just no other way around it. You know what I mean? Even the way we filled out the rotation, it was low risk gambles. When you sign a Trevor Williams to be your number 4 at $2 million because you hope he's the guy he was 3 seasons ago, that you know what I mean? Look, he's only 28. He's shown some promise. His previous start, he got the win. So I don't know. It's very frustrating. The only thing I can take out of encouragement is the offense looks a lot better. And at the end of the day, I mean, obviously we want so much more than that. We demand more than that as fans, as we should. We want
more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, you said they're worth more than that?
No, I said we as us fans, we deserve more than just the offense being good.
No, we do, but we're not going to get it this year. I don't know, man. I just fucking the pitching. We need Kyle Hendricks to turn it around. Davies was encouraging. Arrieta's been good except for his last outing. Kimbrel's a rock in the back of the bullpen, and then we're seeing signs of other people. But like we've said, it's become every bullpen pitcher has a shit outing. Right now, ours are happening at the worst possible times. Everyone's having their merry-go-round turn. Right? Remember Chafin was lights out, then he had his shit outing. This guy had been lights out, and then he had his bad outing. Everyone's taking turns having their bad outing at the worst time. Yeah, Justin Steele had looked awesome in every outing. Comes today, he's throwing fastballs right down the middle. That's what killed me the most about the game today was the pitch location on so many of these hitters. Like we know where these guys like the ball. Yeah. There are some times where you just go, all right, the hitter beat you. I feel like we allowed the hitters to beat us today. When in the Braves series, when Freddie Freeman took that Workman fastball, that was an inside 94 mile an hour fastball. That wasn't a strike. And Freddie Freeman does what MVPs do. That you could accept that. What you don't want to see is 93 right down the fucking middle to Nick Castellanos, who's made his career of destroying that pitch. That you don't want to see. I'd rather lose when you make your pitcher's pitch and you just tip your hat to the guy who's like, all right, fuck, man. I threw that right where I wanted to in a good spot and you beat me. Okay. So I don't know what the game planning was going there. I don't know why the arms were so flat in the pen, minus a couple guys. And it just sucks. It sucks too because, it's a different game these days with how you manage your bullpen. Guys have to come in and face 3 hitters. A guy comes in and gives up 2 bombs or, a couple shots right away, a double and a home run. It's like, all right, now I got to give him another fucking batter. So I like the 3-batter rule in some sense. I think every new rule is one of those things where you just have to get used to.
Yeah.
as far as being a fan of. The runner at second rule, though, I would like to see eliminated, because I got it during a pandemic when you're trying to eliminate, how many guys you're sending back and forth between your alternate site because it's a fucking pandemic going on. But things are getting better now. Hopefully next year, when everyone's 100% vaccinated, at least they should be, or the pandemic's more under control, baseball could go back to having the regular extra innings rule. Because again, most games don't go into extra innings. It seemed like an overreaction to me to change that whole rule.
Yeah, and quickly too, Joe, because both you and Cody have brought up so many good points that are sparking some questions that I have that I think are really interesting to hear your guys' perspectives on. And the first one being a little more focused on today's game, but do you think? And not a shot at him, but do you think having a guy like Tony Walters behind the plate instead of Contreras in a game like today, maybe does that have something to do with the pitch location? Maybe because they're not as on the same page. Walters hasn't worked with a lot of these guys as much as Contreras has, because in fairness, Walters was at the alternate site up until 4 days ago. So, I'm wondering if that maybe has something to do with it, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that too.
Joe, I think you have more insight on this.
I don't think so. Most catchers aren't really calling for the pitches. It's from the dugout these days. I don't know how the Cubs are doing it, but fans listening and watching, next time you watch a Major League Baseball game, any game, watch the catcher before he gives the signal. He normally looks into the dugout and then he flashes the sign to the pitcher. So sometimes the pitchers get more comfortable with a certain guy. They get into a groove and the guy knows where to flex that glove, put it here. I didn't notice too much of that. Walter seems like a guy that's pretty respected. That's why when he got cut from, I don't know who cut him. Someone cut him in spring training. Everyone's like, "Oh, he'll find another job, no problem."
Yeah,
so
the Pirates got him.
It could be. I don't know. I did not dig that deep at that part. I was more like, I think when your catcher asks for a down and you miss a foot up stairs, I don't know how that's on the catcher.
Sure.
I don't know. But yeah, there is a feel though. There's definitely a feel that catchers get with pitchers. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me then into my second question, and I think you'll both have a lot more to say with this one. Is I was thinking about this. I had to run out mid-game and just really quick, and I was sitting in the car and I'm watching the game day kind of off to the side, just checking it at red lights and such, and I'm like, if Williams is going to do this right now, and it's truly a transitional year, and Davies has done this a couple times, and I pray to God, I have faith Kyle Hendricks fixes it, but let's just take it as for what it is right now. He's struggled. Jake finally had his first bat. Doesn't concern me. He was really good his first 5. And then Alzolay has been good. Just I wish he would be going a little deeper into games. That said, when does a Williams or a Davies, especially guys who are, like you said, Joe, that low risk 1-year deal, there's no need for them to have to come back next season if they don't, the Cubs don't want them to. When do you let just as a hypothetical, I don't know if they would let this specific player, but when do you let a Keegan Thompson, start, get a spot start? When do you let some of these young guys that are AAA level that are kind of knocking out Corey Abbott? Corey Abbott's a perfect name. When do you let them just get a spot start? Because if it's truly a transitional year, fuck it. Let's learn what you got in some of these guys instead of throwing out, the same thing and through the first almost 30 games now that we've seen, which is Williams gets beat up most days. He has some good outings with some bad. Davies has been getting hit hard. Hendricks has been getting hit hard. Now, granted, again, I have faith that Kyle of all people is going to fix it. But when does some of these young guys get a shot at, just a spot start? It doesn't need to be 10 starts in a row. When do they get 1 or 2 maybe to just see what the hell the Cubs have coming in the future?
I would say as early as, in a couple weeks. In my opinion, I think Davies he's gonna get 1 more month at it, and like I said, he was better in his last start. But it feels like Trevor Williams is only good when I'm at the game. And that's a joke, but also it's actually
kind of true. Yeah,
no, he's 2-0 for me too.
Maybe he's just better at home. The thing is even whenever he has pitched well, his biggest problem has been the third time through the lineup. He has not been able to get through the third time. Even in his start against the Braves, where he was pretty solid, it was that third time through the lineup where he got roughed up. Yeah. And the Cubs ended up losing the game. But, I to be honest with you, I don't know a lot about the starters in AAA right now. But if the Cubs have any kind of, if like you said, if it is a transitional year, I would say, as early as in a couple weeks, if not a couple weeks at the end of the month, start of June 1st. Like it honestly, it just depends on where the Cubs are. And like, if we're right now, the way the Cubs are playing in 2 weeks, they could be at the bottom of the league or they could be at the top of the league because we just don't know what they're going to do. We don't. So if they figure it out, then no, I don't want to see them. But if like it keeps going like this, we went 2-7 this week or 2-6 or something, whatever. Like what? Then yeah, I'm like, let's see what some other guys got. At least that'd give us something to be excited about because, like you said, like it's just the stars aren't going deep enough, and David Ross is going to get to a point where he's got to stop taxing the bullpen so much. And we've bitched and complained about past seasons, like about the starters not going deep enough. I think 2017 is a good example. But that team figured it out. And also as the year after World Series, the team was pretty much the same. And like you were allowed to at least have some more faith there. Plus you had a bunch of guys under control. We got guys who are going to be like, they're in 1-year deals essentially. And I'm not even talking about guys like Matt Duffy and Trevor Williams and Tony Walters. I'm talking about Rizzo, Bryant, Baez. Like these guys, like if you want to get any value out of them in this last season, as in terms of like winning ball games, like you got to try and put out your best lineup, best starter every day. So it just depends on like where they're at in 2 weeks. I mean, I'm not against it. If no one's going to go deep, might as well give someone a shot.
Well, I think it's optimistic to think it's going to be a couple weeks because, like you said, Ron, if it's a transitional year, which again, nobody wanted to hear that, but that is something that Jed did mention on opening day, that this could be a transitional season. They did the whole thing where it's like, we're still aiming to win. And in this division, we believe we have what it takes to win. But, we're all seeing the writing on the wall right now. Zach Davies is making $8 million this season. The part of the reason they took Zach Davies back, I know San Diego was like to offset some stuff, but the Cubs also were like, we need someone to eat innings and someone we could possibly flip. If he's great, then hey, why not? Well, he's great. But this is also in the back of their minds. They're like, 1-year deal. We could possibly flip him. Right. They're not getting shit for Zach Davies right now. So I think to answer your question, when will we see some AAA guys pitching in the Cubs rotation? After the All-Star break or the August? I honestly think that because they want Trevor Williams to rebuild value. They want Zach Davies to rebuild value if they're looking to trade them because they're on 1-year deals. Right now, the value's low. If they have 2 or 3 good starts in a row in mid to late June, yeah, but they're going to give them all the chance they can because, again, pitching, there's always teams desperate for pitching. There's more wild card teams now too and all that. So I think you could find someone will roll the dice. You're not going to get much back for either of them though. I mean, they're rentals and they're not very good. I mean, Zach Davies though has a decent enough track record where I think you get something back for him. Maybe like, something you could use in the future. But yeah, the AAA season also, we have to remind ourselves, just started.
Right.
So, we don't know what we're going to get out of those guys. We're going to have to see. So I think at the earliest June, something or other, if it continues this way, like if Trevor Williams continues to get roughed up, I could see him getting knocked out of the rotation for a Corey Abbott because, again, they're only investing. I think he signed a $2 million deal, maybe 1.5, maybe 2.5. I'm not sure, but that's very low risk. So if he's bad, they'll just release him even or just, try him with the bullpen. $8 million for Davies. They're going to give Davies every shot possible to right the ship because it's in the best interest for the Cubs because you need him to get hot and start pitching like he was the guy the last few years in order to deal him. Now, we've getting some comments from people. I don't know if you've noticed. Dope Redbeard's asking, not sure if you guys addressed this, but in your opinion, should Nick Castellanos been walked in the 10th? Now, when there was the wild pitch or the pass ball, it made it a runner on third with nobody out and Castellanos out. Even if you walk him and you're hoping for the double play, a run's still going to score. You still have to bring the infield in regardless. So I was okay with pitching to him because it's Kimbrel and he's a strikeout guy. If we had someone who wasn't a strikeout, Kimbrel's like an automatic 2 Ks an outing. So I was totally okay with that. You were in a bad situation right there. Runner at third, nobody out, and Castellanos is swinging a hot stick. And he did. He shortened up his stroke and then just jabbed out in center. That's one of those things where, man, the Ricketts are to blame for Castellanos not being in a Cubs uniform because Theo and Jed wanted to keep him. They traded for him. They wanted him, and that's a reason
they would be making so much money off Nick Castellanos too.
Well, he was sticking around. Remember, Castellanos signed late in that offseason with Cincinnati. He was waiting as long as he could for the Cubs to shift around money or to get some kind of green light from ownership, and they never got that green light. And then in 2020 season, ended up having a DH, which really helped the Cubs. It would have helped in a lot of ways because, we won the division regardless, but it just would have given the offense just a more stable feel. And then coming into 2021, then you would have had a clearer picture of who you're extending or who's in the long-term plans for this Cubs team. Someone else mentioned we better get a lot of prospects for Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant right now is a top 5 player in all of baseball. It's second in the National League, if you ask me. I have Acuna just slightly ahead of him right now, but the way it's trending, Chris Bryant's on his way to an MVP season. He's going to finish top 3 in MVP voting. Who knows? I mean, this is the best first month of a season Chris Bryant's ever had. There's a good chance Chris Bryant at the end of the year is the MVP. He's on pace right now to have about 45 doubles, 45 home runs, and hit 320 while playing good defense at multiple positions. We all know what a good base runner he is. He's going to put up a 7-WAR season. And if the Cubs do not extend him, hey, Anthony, if they trade him and get a bunch of prospects for him and then re-sign him in the offseason, brilliant. I'm great with that idea too. But if he's not in a Cubs uniform in 2022 and beyond, that's going to be right up there with Greg Maddux in the 90s as a colossal mistake on ownership's part, because you do not let that guy go. And some people are like, oh, first of all, he'll be 29 for next season. This is his age 28 year, 29, I believe. Yeah, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. I think that's 6 seasons right there where I'm pretty confident in him. And if you give him an 8-year deal and 35, 36, he's like, whatever. You're still happy with 6 out of 8 years. Look at Justin Turner. He's a third baseman who's 37 years old and still producing at an elite rate for the Dodgers. I think he's 5th in OPS as I checked the other day. So I can see Chris Bryant aging well. All of his injuries, the 2 big injury-plagued seasons, one was last year during a weird-ass pandemic year, a lingering injury that I think he just kind of pushed through, which he probably shouldn't have, and then the shoulder in 2018. It hasn't been anything that's required major surgery or anything like that. And even in 2018, everybody, he was still a 122 OPS plus, weighted runs created plus, which means he was 22% above league average. For his career, he's like 45% above league average. There is no excuse. And we have no payroll next year. They're going to be like 160 million under the cap as of right now in guaranteed contracts. This isn't like, oh, do we sign Brian? Is there room? How are we going to fit? No, there's plenty of room. I'm sorry I'm going off on this, but I see a lot of fans just accepting the fact that, oh, well, we're just not going to. No, do not let yourself as a fan. Look, I'm all for being positive and we love morale here on this podcast, but also we cannot accept Chris Bryant look, if we offer him the biggest contract, he just decides, hey, I want to be in San Diego or freaking Anaheim or somewhere closer to where I'm from. Okay, fine. He wouldn't go to San Diego, but you know what I mean. But like my point is, just do not let that shit fly at all. And as much as it pains me to say it, if you got to stop spending money at Wrigley, you got to stop doing all this other shit. If Chris Bryant is not wearing a Cubs uniform next year, listen to the games on the radio. I don't know what to tell you, but you cannot. It's just. You can't let your favorite restaurant take away menu items and still support them. I could have done better with that analogy. I feel like I had a better one in there somewhere.
With that said, I wrote an article about Chris Bryant, his best month of his career, like you just referenced. It's on untapsportsnet.com. Go read it.
Check that out, everybody.
I do. I agree. I was the one that made sure that got up today, and yes, it was a great article, and I highly recommend everybody give it a read. But even Joe, to your point, so Chris Bryant, he is in his age 29 season, but even then, like you said, I think he still ages very gracefully, and I do agree that even if you give him 6, let's not even think about the 8-year equation. If you could give him 6, he's still going to be a productive player for at least 5 of those 6 years, if not all 6. So I agree. If KB's not a Cub next year,
but he could play several positions too. That's my thing with Bryant. So say you sign him for an 8-year deal, because I think at the very least he's going to want 8 years. I just don't see he'll get an opt-out perhaps, but I definitely don't. He wants to be here, but Boris isn't going to let him sign a 6-year deal. I just don't see that happening.
Fair.
He's your third baseman, right? Ed Howard comes up at shortstop in a couple years, and then Hernandez is right behind him, Christian Hernandez. Now all of a sudden it's like, all right, what do? You move Chris Bryant to left field, easy, and then you can move Hernandez to center or Ed Howard to center, whoever.
Or you let him just move around and DH every once in a while when the DH inevitably gets its way into the NL too.
Or move Bryant to first and have Rizzo DH when that happens. Someone asked the point. They go, hey, they're not going to extend Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, and Contreras. He doesn't think Ricketts will. Yeah, I definitely don't. If there's a gun to my head right now, as much as I love Javi and we'll go to war with Javi, I'm not giving him an extension right now. I'm just not. We have a lot of shortstop depth coming through the ranks. He's still a guy that just –
He did hit the 97-mile-an-hour fastball high in the zone out tonight or today, which was great to see.
That's
I'm not apologizing for all my slander, but yeah, it is encouraging. And I do think ever since he's come back from the hamstring injury or just a couple of days off that David Ross gave him, I feel like he has played better. The strikeouts are down. But yeah, I mean, I just think with the shortstop depth in the system, it's kind of like, yeah, you don't like, especially if he turned down 180 million, like this guy, he's wanting somewhere north of 200. Like,
yeah,
and we need pitching too. So, there's just a lot of needs in shortstop. You could go you can move Nico to shortstop. He's more than capable. He gives you an above average shortstop. You could find a second baseman on a 1 to 2 year deal until, more and more people start to fit in different spots. I just think you got two cornerstones in Bryant and Rizzo at two.
Keep Matt Duffy around for a cheap price. Shit.
Yeah. Matt Duffy can move around for a cheap price. You have those two, Bryant and Rizzo, and we don't have like a third baseman and a first baseman knocking on the door. We've got shortstops and catchers and some outfielders who could be, Brennan Davis, I think, is coming soon. I think he's going to have a big year in the minors. I think Brennan Davis, you'll see on the major league roster sometime in 2022. I don't know if he breaks camp with the team, but as far as pitching goes, that's coming up strong. Adbert, I think, has high upside. I think he's got ace upside. We saw what he did to that Braves lineup. He made some of the best hitters in baseball look dumb. Still, we need to go out, though. You got Adbert, you got Hendricks, you got Jake under contract next year. I'd like to go out and get a Syndergaard. Go out. Hey, maybe, Stroman is available next year. There's a few other guys. I mean, Max Scherzer is still a top 25 pitcher. He hits free agency. There's some arms out there where it's like, okay, go get an arm or two and make some smart moves around the diamond with the offense, diversifying the lineup. Because again, you've got Bryant, Baez, and Contreras are the same style hitter essentially, with Bryant and Contreras not swinging at shit in the other batter's box as much as Javi does. And it pains me to say it. I hate hearing the words leave my mouth that I don't want to see Baez long-term. I do. But we know, like you mentioned, Cody, he turned on 180 million. If Baez right now said, I'll sign 6 years at 15 million per, all right. Yeah, I would do that. Because defensively, even defensively, he'll give you a 2.5, 3 WAR a year. And that's worth that, 15 million per or whatever, but I just don't see it. And Contreras, we could wait until the offseason before we decide because he's under contract for next year.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, just kind of even add on to your points there, Joe, like, first off, Marcus Stroman in the Cubs uniform, inject that into my veins with the biggest needle you can find, because I need that like I need air. But, I think even too with, kind of your thoughts, right? You move Nico to short potentially as kind of that bridge shortstop to get you to Ed Howard. And then you have Nico as kind of your Ben Zobrist-esque player where, they're playing him in that role. He's played the corner outfield spots now. He's played a little bit of center. He's played short. He's played second. I mean, hell, at that point.
Doesn't he look great? Can we appreciate how great Nico looks?
Yeah, he looks fantastic. And that's – and
glad he didn't get hurt.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't get hurt as
well. Get your
face
out of the way, Ian. I'm sorry. Yeah. Too soon. I love Ian. I hope he's fine.
Agreed. I too hope Ian's fine. But Chase Strumpf is going to be knocking on the door too. A lot of people forget about him. Is exactly to what this Cubs team needs. He's a high contact bat. He can hit for power, but he's a contact bat, and he plays a good second base, and he's expected up in 2022. So really, if that is the concern of like, well, what do you do? Yeah, you have so many middle infielders, center fielders, outfielders in general, and catchers knocking on the door. I would say the argument that helps, I think, Willie being a long-term guy is, again, his positional versatility as well. We talk about KD, we talk about Nico, who I do want us to appreciate on this podcast, those two right now, the seasons they're having, because they're unfucking believable. But like, to me, that there's plenty of options they have, because for once, since this rebuild became successful and they won a championship with it, the farm system's finally there again. Like, it's not just one or two guys that are knocking on the door. It's not just Alzolay knocking on the door anymore. They have probably about 15 guys that I'm not saying are all going to be big leaguers and all going to be Cubs for a long time and all going to, have great careers, but at least guys that they feel good enough about and that are going to be ready that they should at least get a look. And so I think they would be completely fine. But I mean, I'm just happy, guys. And again, I know we've been very down on this show, and I think everybody that's watching can see it in Cody's face. But it exemplifies it perfectly, Cody. That's why I had to bring it up. But
yeah,
fuck, KB's been awesome, yo. Like, that makes me so happy. Like, I wore it today. Chris Bryant doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit because he's back. He's doing good things. Like,
but that's what's so infuriating. It's so infuriating that he's having an MVP type season and this team stinks right now.
True.
It stinks. It's like all the like. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, I feel like
the Bears offense wasting that defense.
Yeah, like the Bears offense sucking.
Or Walter Payton's early years with the Bears when they were just awful. He was the only good thing they had.
I'm not a hockey guy, but I feel like the Blackhawks run should have been longer than 2015 and or up to 2015. Like,
they got 3 cups though, so I don't know.
I mean, they did, but but from my understanding, like, Kane and Tace have been in their primes the last couple years. Like True. They should still be going. Like, again, they have. Again, I don't know a lot about hockey or the Blackhawks really, but this is just what I hear people talk about.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what this thing about Chris Bryant is like, just really agonizing me about, because yeah, I want him to be here, but I want him to be here and be on a team that's gonna freaking win.
Well, I'm not even finish talking about that. Ron, you can teach Cody about hockey. I'm so sorry, guys, but I promised my wife I'd cook a steak tonight for dinner. I went and got the new propane tank and everything. So I got to go fire it up.
You're good, man.
I'll talk to you guys tomorrow or very soon. Hopefully we've got some good stuff to report about. Again, the Cubs are kind of looked at as a bad team. And I said earlier in the year, bad teams beat good teams all the time. So very well, we could sweep the Dodgers, and I'd love to see it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Take care, Joe. We'll talk to you, man. But yeah, man, I mean, you said it perfectly.
If the Cubs sweep the Dodgers, I will fucking do a live video of myself like eating an entire jar of mayonnaise. If the Cubs sweep the Dodgers, I will eat an entire thing of mayonnaise.
I'll tell you what, you got to be careful with that stuff though, Cody, because I actually owe a video to the public right now, because I said if the Bears got Justin Fields, I would run down my street in compression shorts and then chase that with a shot of Malort. I went out and bought a bottle of Malort this weekend. So guess what I'm going to be doing probably tomorrow?
Can't wait. Looking forward to that one.
Be careful, because the universe has a funny way of saying, oh, you're willing to do something you really don't want to do? Oh, watch this, you son of a bitch.
That's just how down I am, man. If the Cubs actually, I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not even asking the Cubs to win the series. That's how I'm confident not confident, but how like down I am on the Cubs. Like, I don't think they have a chance in this series against the Dodgers. Yeah, just don't get swept. Win one game and I'll be okay. And I'm hoping that one game is tomorrow, because I'll be there.
That's true. You got to be on the lookout for that Cody on scene, coverage from Wrigley. But yeah, man, I mean, I agree. Like, and obviously we're gonna preview. I think we're getting to that point where I think it's a good time for us to put this one in the rear view. But like, I think just kind of summing up the day, right? It really feels like the bats are finally starting to come around. KB's unfucking believable. Nico, literally, you can't send Nico back when Jock is healthy. And that's actually a question I posed via the Twitter, the Cubs on Tap Twitter account today. When Nico doubled, I think Duffy or sometime around then. But it was, what the hell do you like? KB's playing a really good left field, and he's moving around. Duffy's been incredible. I know you're super high on Matt Duffy. I think by the end of the season, you might be the president of the Matt Duffy fan club. But
yeah,
like, you got Jake Marisnick, who I like to think I am the president of that fan club. Flowbro number one. is playing really well. You know, even when he comes off the bench, he had a pinch hit RBI hit today. So, like, it's a good problem to have. But, like, there's no fucking way you can send Nico Horner down though when Jock Peterson comes back. Like, just DFA Eric Sogard and call it a day. It's like,
I would say.
Then, Sogard's been okay off the bench, so it's like, like, what do you do? Like
you would do it's like tough. That, or like this comes back to Austin Romine being hurt too, because you could just DFA Tony Walters. As much as like I kind of like Tony Walters, nice day today, 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. Like
almost
I can't
almost still home too.
Yeah, like,
and that would have been the winning run. God
damn. Again, it's just one game, but like. That's what I would say, either DFA Sogard or DFA Tony Walters, and then just hope and pray that Contreras stays on the field. But they ain't going to do that, especially with Romine out. So I would say Sogard. And I'm with you. Like, it's like we don't like, he's been nice, but he's not going to get as many appearances to play because Nico Horner's going to be getting all the starts, you know? So it's kind of like you're not going to miss him. He's just not going to have any spot to play. He'll be your pinch hitter, and, you know, he could be a defensive replacement guy. Probably like his hitting or whatever is going to be so out of rhythm. Like, I would say that Sogard is the odd man out, like my guy Jake here in the comments is saying. But yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I don't know, man. To be honest, I'm actually kind of proud of you for coming up with that question, because I couldn't even think of anything like that today. I'm just pissed off because we can't win. I just want to win. Just win baseball games. Sometimes it just comes down to winning and losing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how else to explain it. There's no analytics. There's no stupid fan graphs and nerds that can explain that. It comes down to winning and losing baseball games. And the Cubs are doing a really good job of losing them. And that pisses me off and ruins my damn days. And today's Sunday. The sun's out. My day's ruined thanks to the Cubs. You know, that should be illegal. They should be arrested. They should, when they get back to Chicago, they should have to go sit in the freaking jail of Cook County for like an hour, because I'd only want them to be in there for an hour. But they got to just put in time out, man. Like, that's how I feel.
Like, put them in time out.
Because it's so annoying the way that they're losing games, man. Like, I wish they just suck. If they're gonna suck, just suck. Like, don't give up 4 runs and then, you know, reel me back in with a Chris Bryant grand slam and then give up more runs and then lose. Like, don't do that. Just, if you're gonna suck. Don't suck, then be good, then suck again. Like, just suck. Right. Or if you're gonna be good, be good.
Yeah, I was gonna say it like they're teasing Cubs fans.
Yeah, that's all they do is
like today. Fuck, you scored 12 runs. Yeah. You should win that ball game.
They had a 4-2 lead at one point, and then freaking, I think it's Trevor Williams giving up back-to-back jacks, and Suarez hitting 130. Hitting 130, hasn't done shit all season. He's suddenly back to like 2019 form or 2018 for whatever year he hit 50 bombs when the baseball was freaking juiced. Like. Ron, I'm just so fucking frustrated, man. And you know what? I'm so frustrated, but I'm gonna fucking go to the game tomorrow and cheer them on. Isn't that just like insanity? Isn't that insanity?
I think that what you just said there, and I think this is the perfect way to transition into tomorrow's game, because I think what you said there is literally why some people, you know, we've all had that friend that isn't a sports fan that just doesn't get it. You know what I mean? They're like, why do you torture yourself like that? And it's like, because it's literally, for a sports fan, the love you have for a team, like I'm gonna say it from a male's point of view. So female listeners, you probably can relate, but would just be, you know, flip-flopped or whatever you do. But that significant other, that ex-significant other, that like was so toxic for you, but yet you want them back so goddamn badly. Like, that is sports, literally, because your team can piss you off. They can annoy the shit out of you. They can drive you up a wall. But like you said, you're going back tomorrow. You're going to be in the stands. You're going to buy that $12 beer and you're going to root them on like nothing happened. You know what I mean? And it's just, it literally is. It is insanity. It is a just different type of insanity. But
I tell people that sports.
I tell people sports is good for your health, but it's not good for my health sometimes, man. Like this sucks. This entire week has just been painful. Like to watch them lose 3 or 4 to the Braves and then just come out and then like after getting shut out 2 days in a row and not scoring runs against the Braves, but to come to Cincinnati and score a bunch of runs but can't pitch, like it's insanity that I'm putting myself through. It's just like I guess it just really tests like do you really sign up for 162? And again, I've said it before. Like I'm not bowing out. I'm not saying the season's over. I'm just so tired of being so fucking tired. I am the Jim Halpert like meme after Dwight Schrute throws all those snowballs at him and he's just sitting at his desk talking to the camera guy and he's just like, I just want it to stop. That is me. That is me, bro. That is me. I'm so fucking tired of being so fucking tired. Like it's not like most of the people I know, like all my good friends outside of a handful that you've met, like they don't even get into the baseball season until like mid-July. It's like, no, if you're a real baseball fan, you start in April, but the ones who do that, man, you're really signing up for a lot of freaking roller coaster rides. And it's just like right now, this roller coaster is going like, I hate riding roller coasters that have like the loops and go upside down and stuff. Like I'm going through like 5 or 6 of those in a row right now. Like it's bad. Like I'm not having fun. I'm not having a good time. And that sucks because these core players that we have talked about add-ins, I do not want to see them go out like this. It cannot end like this. It just cannot. It cannot. That does if it ends like this, they better not make a goddamn movie about the 16 team. I don't want it. I just want my DVD that I have and I'll watch that every fucking Christmas, whatever. But the ending, it can't end like this. This like so agonizing and depressing. That's how the season so far, for the most part, has been. Just makes me want to pull my hair out. I feel like it's freaking mid-August and we're blowing our loads every single day. That's what I feel like, and not like a good load. Like we're just shitting our pants. That's what we're doing. Like, yeah. And I shouldn't be feeling like that on May fucking 2nd. But the way that they're losing ball games is just so infuriating and just makes you wonder, like, what are we gonna do? Right. What are we doing right now? What's the plan? And right now, even though Jed says it's a transitional phase, I don't know if he even knows what to do. Like, he's going to wake up tomorrow, probably going to have to go do some 670 The Score freaking interviews, ESPN 1000 interviews, and have to come up and just talk something out his ass to explain what's going on with the Cubs. Yeah. Like, even David Ross in his postgame, I listened to a little bit today. He's out of excuses, man. Like, I've criticized some of his moves, but it's not his fault we lost today. We scored 12 runs. How do you blame the other manager? You know what I mean?
Right. And you can't blame him for Mills and Steele imploding. You can't blame him for Trevor Williams giving up 3 home runs. Like, no. You can't blame him for that. Otherwise, I think he managed the pen pretty well today. Maples looked good. You know, all the guys that we listed during this podcast looked good. Keegan Thompson coming up today had a nice debut. Like, I agree, man. Like, it's just, it just sucks. It's at that point where it sucks, but we're signed up for 162. And
can't wait to do it again tomorrow, Ron. Kyle Hendricks versus Walker Buehler. Can't wait. Section 306, you'll find me there with a $12 beer, probably hating my life by the 5th inning.
Potentially. Well, hopefully it is not the narrative for tomorrow. But as you mentioned,
change the narrative, man.
We will change that. Hopefully they can change that narrative, and we will change our narrative as we will preview that game that Cody will be in attendance for. So as Cody mentioned, the Dodgers were coming to town. It will be Walker Buehler on the mound for the Dodgers. He is only 1-0 record-wise this season, but he has a 3.16 ERA and 31 Ks, so he's been very good. He had a little bit of a rough outing his last time out. But he'll bounce back. And then a guy that we're hoping to bounce back is Kyle Hendricks. 1-3, 7.54 ERA. Very unlike Kyle Hendricks. but hopefully he can rebound. That game tomorrow is at 6:40 local time on May 3rd here in Chicago at beautiful Wrigley Field. If you're in the LA market, Sportsnet LA for the Dodgers, as well as the Dodgers Radio Network, which is AM 570. And you can also catch it on 1020 out there. And then you know the drill in Chicago, WRTO 1200, 670 The Score, Marquee Sports Network. And this will be on MLB Network for those that are out of market. So it will be a nationally televised game for those that have MLB Network. So, Cody, I turn it over to you, sir. You'll be in attendance. So perfect for you to lead this part off. You know, what are you looking for tomorrow? What are you expecting? Who's your fly the W?
Well, yeah, I would have gone with Ian Happ, but I doubt he plays tomorrow.
Agreed.
In terms of, like, obviously Andrew Chafin's my fly the W pick, which he did have a clean inning today, which is impressive considering no one else could get clean innings today. But if I'm not taking, like, if I had to choose a position player, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I'll go with Matt Duffy because Walker Buehler's a righty. I assume Matt Duffy be back in the lineup. He had a nice double down the line today. He's just giving good at bats, man. Like, he had a walk at a big late in the game too. Like, he just I said it earlier. I'm like, I'm down to keep Duffy for a year or two more. He's playing like a guy I want around, man.
Absolutely.
And even if, like, he's not going to hit a ton of homers or anything or drive in runs, but he's playing like a guy that you could plug and play at second or third or probably not shortstop, but infield second or third.
He can play short though. He has played short in his career before.
Okay,
he can pretty much play the whole infield.
Okay, so like, yeah, he just keeps playing like like just a solid. Like, honestly, he just reminds me of, like, Tommy Edman for the Cardinals, Nico Horner type guy, like, contact bat just is one of the most annoying guys at the plate. Colton Wong, if you want to use Milwaukee. I just keep naming all these Cardinals legends. I mention those guys because, like, when I watch them play the Cubs, like, they annoy the shit out of me. And like, that's what Matt Duffy's doing to other teams. I like the way he's playing, and like, I just keep it going, earn yourself another contract, man. Because, like, it's not like Ed Howard and Cesar Hernandez and Preciado is going to be coming up next year. Like, we got to have some bridge guys, and like I said, I like the way he's playing. I think I think he's more than just a 1-year guy if he keeps playing like this. So.
Yeah,
I
completely agree. I really do.
As far as the game, Hendricks bounced back. We're hoping, praying, fingers crossed. Like, he was very adamant in his post game after his last start about how he knows that he's been very bad and how his start was very bad. Again, I thought he had a nice bounce back start against the Brewers. Not this past Friday, but the Friday before, whenever the Cubs won their 4th in a row. Seems like a billion years ago since then. And we thought, okay, Hendricks is back. Maybe the Braves just have, like, his number. I don't know. I don't know. But he's going up against a really tough Dodgers lineup, but it ain't the Braves. So I think that alone is good enough for, like, him to at least come out and give us 5 strong innings. I'm not asking for 7 or 8. I'll take 7 or 8 for sure, but I'm asking for 5 strong innings, maybe 2 runs allowed at most, and I think the Cubs have a chance to win the game. So,
yeah. Absolutely, man. I love everything you said, and just going back to Duffy, and two, there is some potential rain in the forecast, but it is supposed to be warmer tomorrow, so you would hope the ball is flying out of Wrigley. Cubs can get some more runs. They don't have to necessarily just do the classic manufactured runs because it's cooler in Chicago type game. Even though I know those make your arm hair erect,
make it straight up.
But I mean, Duffy's been a good player. I agree with you, man. I like that pick for you because. You look at his career. I mean, he's young. He's only 30 years old. I mean, and I know people are like, well, that's old. No, and again, Joe brought it up earlier. Justin Turner's almost fucking 40, and he's still playing at an elite level. Shut up with that narrative. But, like, I mean, he, his rookie season, he only played 34 games that first year, so it wasn't technically his rookie season. Then he, like you said, in 15, he's a finalist for Rookie of the Year behind Bryant, plays 149. But then in 16, he only played 91 games because of injury, and he split time. That was when he was traded from the Giants to the Rays. Then he had a really good year with the Rays where he played 132. And then, like, he played 46 with the Rays last year, but that's a very Rays move to just let guys go because they don't like paying anybody. So, like, you know, like he's a really good player that the Cubs got for really nothing. So I agree with you, man. I think he is a guy that can absolutely get, you know, that next contract. Maybe not a huge deal, but maybe he gets, you know, maybe, just maybe, if the Cubs aren't fully sold on David Bodie, maybe he's your Bodie type player then going forward because he's still young enough to be, you know, good enough for, you know, another couple of seasons.
Well, and he's different from Bodie too, because again, he's a big contact guy. Bodie makes a lot of hard contact, but he also strikes out. I don't know what his K rate is this year, but I feel like Bodie's striking out at least once a game, it feels like. And I just feel like Matt Duffy's just putting up like incredible at bats, like professional at bats. Tommy said it on Sky's Falling. We recorded that today. He was like, he qualifies a professional at bat as an at bat where a pitcher throws 7 pitchers, 7 pitches or more. And you see, like Matt Duffy is going 3-2 like almost every at bat, it feels like. And so like,
true,
like those things go a long way, especially when you're trying to get a starter out of the game and stuff like that. So like the casual fan don't see it, I see it. So said. I think that's pretty much the gist for Matt Duffy. And then he's not even bad defensively, like you said. He can play all across the infield. He's you know, he hasn't been bad out there.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? A little more positional versatility, but I had to do some digging back because I was like, there's a dude on the 08 team that he reminds me of. Mark DeRosa.
Okay.
He gives me a D-Row kind of feel. Like he's.
I thought you were gonna say like Mike Fontenot.
No, honestly, like Bodie reminds me more of Fontenot than Duffy does. Like Duffy kind of reminds me of DeRosa. Obviously not the same power guy. He's more contact, like you mentioned, but just kind of that, like, he's a really solid player, and I think he just kind of gets forgotten about on this roster a little bit, as D-Row, unfortunately, I think does at times. But quickly, too, just confirming with your Bodie, his K rate's actually down from last season. He was over 27% last year, but his walk rate was almost 12% this year. His walk rate's unfortunately down with his K rate. He's 23.2 K rate, but that walk rate is down to 8.
Maybe he's just striking out in times that just piss me off more than others. I don't know, man.
I'll tell you, man, David Bodie is the king. He can only hit, I swear, he can only hit with dudes on base. I mean, he led the Cubs in RBIs last season, literally because every time he has guys on base, he drives them in. Otherwise, he strikes out. Like, it's just the weirdest conundrum ever, but it is what it is. And I agree with you, man. You know, just keeping it really short and simple. Bounce back from Kyle would be lovely. You know, try and get ahead on the Dodgers first, too. I feel like anytime the Cubs fall behind it, it's just immediately just that negative aura around the team then for that day. Get a lead, sustain that lead. You know, let's get a good outing out of whoever comes in from the pen, and just let's just get back.
Well, in the Dodgers, I mean, I know Joe said that they had lost like 7 out of 10 or something like that. Like that, like we talked about before. Like, you don't want teams that have been coming in struggling because they're due. You know what I mean? Like, and they destroyed
you almost want
Milwaukee.
the hot team coming in.
Right. Like they destroyed Milwaukee today. They're going to come down I-94, and they're, you know, they know the Cubs are struggling right now. They're licking their chops for this team right now, and like that's what scares me the most. And so, you know, I got to keep telling myself it's a transitional year, and I got to bring my expectations low. And my expectations are lower than past years, but it's just, I just did not think it would be this bad, man. Like the Pirates are better than us right now. The Pirates.
Only by a half game, but yes, the Pirates are.
Either way, man, the Pirates should be like, they should at least be. I at least thought they're going to be in last the entire season, man. Like, they haven't, like the Cubs have been in last, it feels like, the entire season. Probably not, but still, like, it's.
I mean, and it's funny because like the Cubs are what now after today, 11-16, if I do my math correctly.
Yep.
They were 10-9 at one point in second place in the division, like not too long ago. It's just unfortunately they've hit this fucking super brutal stretch, and like Joe said too earlier in the show, like that hopefully means that, you know, maybe, just maybe, you know, they're due for that kind of 8 out of 10 or, you know, 7 out of 10 kind of run.
Again,
coming up in the future.
Joe talked about it the last podcast that we recapped. You know, like, I'm not asking for if the Cubs sweep, I guess I'm eating a jar of mayonnaise. But like, if I'm asking for 2 out of 3, man. Like, give me 2 out of 3 every series. That's not too much to ask, and that's that's honestly why I'm so mad today, is because we had a chance to take 2 out of 3, and we have lost 3 consecutive series, and that's just not how you. That's not going to get you to the playoffs, man. We gotta win series. So
that ain't going to cut it. I agree with you, man. I totally agree with you. I think just quickly before we wrap up, I think I'm going to go Nico Horner as my Fly the W pick. And I'm just quickly, I want to give some love to our friends in the comments here aboard Baseball Boosh. Says that he likes Duffy to head around for Nico's development. So funny that those are our 2 Fly the W guys. He mentions encouraging those professional ABs, which I agree. It is definitely a encouraging thing. But yeah, man, unfortunately, Cubs fans and for you and I, Cody, rough one today, but kind of the beauty of baseball. They play every day, so you can quickly put it behind you. You can move forward. The guys now coming back home, they don't play until the evening, so you can kind of rest up a little bit on Monday before, like you said, the Dodgers come to town for that 3-game set, and then they're off on Thursday. So, after playing a lot of games, I think they played I think it's going to be 17 straight days. They finally get an off day. Maybe that's just kind of a little reset too that, this pitching staff or somebody needs to get things going. But, well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to remind you, Cubs on Tap is the official podcast of the On Tap Sports Network for the Cubs. You can find us at www.ontapsportsnet.com and at ontapsportsnet on social media. We are the best place for all of your literary and podcasting needs about your favorite Chicago sports teams. And I'll tell you what, man, if you follow On Tap, you should follow our Cubs On Tap specific account as well. Cody does a lot of work on that. I try to do some as well. And you can follow us at Cubbies On Tap, Cubbies. That's both Twitter and Instagram. You can follow myself at Loose On Tap on Twitter. Cody is at Cody On Tap on Twitter. And once again, the On Tap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Cody?
We surpassed 100 followers on Instagram, by the way.
Woo! Let's go.
So if you're not following us on Instagram, go follow us. We had a post that blew up, and it was just the Javi Baez middle finger to Amir Garrett. So
I mean, that's a good one to blow up. So I fully support that.
Here's my advice on anyone to feel better tonight: just blow that Javi Baez middle finger picture up, blow it up onto a big piece of cardboard or something, or on a poster board, and put it on your wall. You'll probably feel better about your day if you do that. I feel like I should print it on a piece of paper, take it to the game tomorrow, and just hold it up every time the Dodgers do something.
I like that idea. Actually, that would be really funny. I would enjoy seeing that. I actually kind of hope you do that now. I might encourage you tomorrow. I might be sending you a couple texts hey man, do it. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you do it. Hey, and if you tweet it too, man, you might get on Marquee again that'll be the 3rd time then if you get on it?
Yeah, I've been on Marquee twice. I'm kind of famous. People on Cubs Twitter should look out. Don't try to cancel me like you try to cancel a bunch of people, though. I'm a pretty good dude, so.
It's true. I will second that. You are a good dude, man. And I think that's it for us here, man. This was a fun one, as we mentioned. Unfortunately, Cubs lose today, 13-12 to the Cincinnati Reds, but they are back at it tomorrow. They welcome the Dodgers to town, and they are off on Thursday. Cody will be at the game, so look out for content from Cody at the game, both on his personal as well as on the Cubs on Tap page in some variety, and it'll probably be me and Juice tomorrow night on the post game. So you can catch us after tomorrow night's game, hopefully talking about a Cubs winner. Cody, let's get out of here the only way we know how to, my guy. Let's go Cubbies.
Let's go Cubs.